Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar hosted by Baltic Amadeus. I see people are still connecting, so let's wait 1 minute more and we will start shortly. Hello again. So this is Roberta speaking. Will be the moderator of this webinar. Today I'm joined by my colleague Nerius. He's a senior cloud architect and he will be the main speaker in today's event, developing the topic of how legacy systems can be extended to the public cloud. Before we begin, let's quickly overview how this webinar will be held. So I will start with a brief introduction explaining what is Baltic Amadeus so you could have a better understanding of why we speak on today's topic. How does that correlate with our daily business? Moreover, I will share some latest trends and ideas around the cloud technologies. Continuing the sessions, I will give a floor to Nerius, who will talk about cloud architecture principles and later switch to present our customer case study, covering facts, problems, and implemented solutions. Finally, we will switch to the Q&A session. Don't hesitate to send your questions during the entire event. We hope we will have time to answer it all, but if not, don't worry. You will get our responses personally after the event. Oh, and we will have a specific offer for those who are considering application modernization scenarios. I'll give you more details later, so stay connected to the end of this session. So let's jump into the details. Baltic Amadeus is a Lithuanian-based custom software development company that is in business for 30 years. During that period, we have worked with various customers in Sweden, Norway, Germany, Baltic states, and outside Europe. Currently, we have more than 200 employees working. When it comes to the cloud services direction, we consult organizations helping them to get answers on the main question: should I move to the cloud? Then we have modernization and migration package. We help to execute projects and for bringing the IT workloads to the public cloud. Next, once the applications are in the cloud, to leverage the full potential, we optimize and automate daily routines. And finally, somebody needs to take care of your infrastructure in the cloud, provide a proactive support under the agreed SLA. So we do that. We work with cross industries, but most of our experience comes from finance, energy, transport, and logistics, and other mentioned sectors. This event is organized in cooperation with Microsoft, and we are very grateful and proud to be part of Microsoft partner ecosystem. At the moment, we have 4 gold competencies that help us to consult companies and deliver the project successfully. Now I want to share with you 2 figures that explain the cloud market dynamic. According to Statista, in 2021, European cloud market was worth of 63 billion euros. By saying this, we have in mind that product and service offered to customers include compute, storage, analytics, networking, or developer tools. And 3 main service delivery type includes software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service, which offers basically different degree of control and responsibility. And by 2023, it is forecasted that this figure will be 9 times higher. That's a lot. Spending on cloud computing is increasing among European businesses as they seek to accelerate their digital transformation and remain competitive. The strong presence of hyperscalers in the European market led to concerns among the both politicians and European cloud providers. Most of the data that is generated in European Union sits in data centers in the United States, where different regulations apply. In order to mitigate that risk of different regulations, Cloud vendors heavily invest in building and opening new data centers across Europe. That works as additional catalyst for European companies to start leveraging cloud benefits as service reach, quality, and affordability increases. So IT managers and company owners must take into account this undeniable trend that is rapidly developing in the IT world. Some of you might think, why should I change that was has been working so well for many years? You have your own infrastructure located in server room next to you. The answer is that cloud could help you to not to get lost in the minutiae. Imagine the IT manager dealing with the patches and updates, hiring and firing. He could be focusing on strategy and the growth instead, pretty much like eating the taco. When you want a taco, you can go out and shop for a lettuce and get the tomatoes. You can chop them up. Then you can go to the store and get a beef. You can grind up the beef. You can buy a taco shells or you can make a taco shells. You can go and buy the sauce. You can put it all together. You can do everything. You can make a single little taco that would probably be delicious. But man, that's a lot of wasted calories just making a taco, right? Or you can go to the restaurant and buy a taco that is just as delicious. You are saving a ton of time and energy by buying a taco than spending hours making it. So you can virtualize all your equipment and you can go to the cloud without no hassle, which would save you a lot of energy. So what exactly drives companies to consider a move to the cloud? The motivators can be split in two groups that we often see. The first one is migration triggers. It could be data center contract expiry, when you needed to decide where to put your equipment for next 3 to 5 years. Moving into the cloud can help reduce costs on everything from the hardware, software, energy, and maintenance. It could be financial reasons. When you want to go away from the fixed upfront capex model to pay as you go opex model to optimize the cash flows. The rapidly growing concerns around security. The majority of us are facing increasing cyber threats, and organizations can improve their security posture by moving to the cloud. Finally, agility and efficiency. Modern cloud-based infrastructure helps you to focus more on your business and less on managing your technology. You don't have to buy a hardware. Instead, add capacity when you need it. You can leave repetitive low-value tasks for an external provider and focus more on the strategic things. The second group, modernization triggers. Organizations want to have the ability to scale applications on demand. Cloud native technologies like containers and microservices help to achieve the great cost savings. Also, organizations strive to accelerate development velocity, which in turn increases time to market speed. It directly influences financial benefits of business. Lastly, cloud services are the easiest way to try out leveraging and adopting the latest technologies such as analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Application innovation helps improve customer experience and gather new business insights. So that is more than enough for the introduction, and I'm giving over the microphone to Neris now.
Thank you, Robertas. And hello, everyone. I'm Nerijus Pažirackas, Cloud Architect in Baltic Amadeus. And today I'm gonna present you customer case where we have extended customer legacy systems to the Azure cloud. Also, I will share some observations about the main challenges for the system design and modernization and some tips what should not be missed in your projects. So first of all, let's talk about why architecture matters. In the ideal world, all IT project starts from the planning and architecture design, of course, documentation preparation. And as is and to be architecture helps to document and prepare systems development roadmap for business needs. But usually all non-functional and security and our requirements are being prepared in the beginning of the project. So when you have a documentation, it is more easier to involve new team members for your product team. Of course, because UML diagrams are descriptions is the best documentation which IT could have. Also, when project documentation exists, analytics and developers can evolve new tasks more easier because there will be less assumptions and more facts. And in the future releases, this documentation will help to identify the gaps for preparation to be architecture changes. Sometimes business stakeholders think that if IT not preparing documentation, the project will cost less because IT will spend less hours in the total project scope. Also, why we need to prepare documentation when the team members are seniors and they know how to do it and what we are doing. So yes, it works while the same team members are working in the same project and in the same company. But if few members left and new members has to be introduced, when the problems begins. Sometimes someone need to explain all the system components, architecture and relations between components, or sometimes code reverse engineering will be needed. So it is more expensive not to have architectural documentation than start preparing it from the beginning of a project. And one more thing not to forget, architecture has to be improved along with technologies. When technologies are changing, as new innovations are introduced, it must be borne in mind that our system's architecture should also be reviewed and changed if needed. For example, public clouds and its services can be used in the existing on-premises solutions. Since Baltic Amadeus is custom development and services provider, we are working with many companies in different industries and saw what challenges those companies had. And for example, retail companies seize opportunities to take advantage of cloud services and deploy discount system, promotions, and virtual card system for their customers. Energy sector sees many benefits of Azure auto scalability services and disaster recovery capabilities for their web portals to handle peak user requests. Banking domain, from our experiences, usually want to use artificial intelligence services for their customer support systems. And many other industries sees possibilities in the cloud services, but most of them have similar challenges to use it. One of the main challenge is that existing system documentation usually is missing. So it is not clear if their product can be easily adapted to the native cloud services or not. Another challenge is lack of knowledge in the cloud services and solutions. So usually clients are looking for their partners who can help to design the right architecture for them. For the most of the client solutions, it has to be re-implemented or refactored if we want to use cloud services, because in the early system design state, some bad decisions had been made. So for some of our clients, easiest way to move to the cloud can be lift and shift. But if you want to modernize those solutions, usually it is cheaper to create new solution in the cloud than re-implement the existing one. I don't know why, but most of our clients forget about hybrid solutions. Customers think that they can only choose between on-premises or cloud, but the hybrid cloud is somehow forgotten. Uh, in this case, hybrid cloud approach sometimes can be the best fit to achieve business goals, save some time and money for the implementation. So how to solve similar problems and challenges? When you are thinking about the public clouds, you need to know what well architecture framework is. I believe that most of you know what it is, but for those who don't know, the Azure Well Architecture Framework is best practices guidelines about Azure services and how it should be used in your application development. And the framework consists of 5 main pillars. It is security, which is talking about protecting application data from the threats. Reliability, the ability to system recover from failures and continue to function. Cost optimization, which is talking about managing cost to maximize the value delivered. Operational excellence, which is talks about operation processes that keep system running in production. and the performance efficiency, the ability of a system to adapt to changes in load. Microsoft and our most biggest competitors have very similar framework documentation, so it should be used by all architects before designing your applications. And in the beginning of a project, when you are preparing solution and technology architectures, study what well architecture framework are talking about and design a system with help of best practices documentation. Now let's talk about customer case. At first, here are some short facts about our customer. Our customer has offices in Germany, Lithuania, Sweden, and Poland. The industry of the customer company is transportation and shipping services, but we also providing customer services and currently trying to improve the services to their customers and partners. We started investing in the user experiences. Company has its own IT department with few developers, and most of the IT infrastructure and systems are based on premises and created about 8 years ago. So mainly all components are legacy, and IT is just supporting the systems. This customer also has some partners who are reselling the services. So partners are integrating with the customer systems and offering services over their user interfaces. And past years, companies transforming, trying to upgrade existing services, want to offer new services. So for the future, we are willing to use some innovations for themselves and for their partners. Also, we want to create user-friendly systems and services for their end users and make it simple to use. So the main needs is to create new user-friendly and innovative interfaces. We would like to offer new features to their partners who are reselling the services. And stakeholders would like to have services management and partners management features which would not require to redevelop system parts when changes are needed. So simpler changes or less code or no codes is one of the objectives here. Also, monitoring and maintenance tools are currently not existing, so it is very hard to know system states, troubleshoot when something happening, and so on. And business and partners are willing to get improved working processes because currently everything depends on the IT capacity, while every change in the system requires development. And of course, customer is willing to improve fast and as cheap as possible, like everyone. But in order to implement business requirements, business together with IT had few workshops and discussion sessions, and they identified several challenges to implement everything. So IT identified that current data center hardware capacity is too small. Most of the architecture infrastructure are almost retired, so there are lack of infrastructure resources for new subsystems. Also, while existing systems are legacy and most of them are based on old Java version, it will be hard to develop new features which has to be innovative and use latest technologies without changing existing core. Of course, most of the documentation are in the IT heads, but no one remember what has been done in the past years. Yeah. While there are no monitoring and maintenance tools used, there are risks that new features can break existing system functionality, and also hardware has to be actively monitoring because utilization currently is very high. So after the discussions, customers saw that such improvements and changes requires investment in their data center and lots of hours of work for their IT to refactor and re-implement the existing legacy systems. However, new functionalities are needed. The company needs to move forward. Business are planning to grow, so new business requirements related to the IT systems has been evaluated per alternative scenarios. First of them was to do everything on premises, which would require investment in the local data center. Few developers should be hired. Lots of work should be needed to re-implement the existing on-premises system and services. Another alternative was cloud-based services, which could be used to fulfill business requirements. A hybrid solution looks most effective way to develop required functionalities, start implementing innovative services, and so on. However, some changes would be required on premises also, which could be done by the current IT. But for cloud-based services, partners' help would be needed. Uh, One more alternative was considered, but is not presented here. So it was full on-premises migration to the public cloud, and it was rejected by the stakeholders in the early beginning because most of the systems and components used would be needed to be upgraded or refactored or re-implemented to support cloud infrastructure. So, why architecture matters and why documentation is required? When our customer was looking for implementation development partners, everyone was asking for the UML diagrams and architecture documentation, of course. So the short story, in the beginning of the system development, company saved some money on the documentation, but when we have joined to the project, first task what we were doing, current solution analysis. We needed lots of workshops with IT to prepare analysis documentation. And after analysis, we have started architecture design phase and implementation. The good thing is that the hybrid cloud solution allowed us not to make drastic changes in the on-premises architecture. So here you can see simplified customer on-premises solution architecture. It was as-is architecture, which was found when we started analysis of the current systems. And on the left side, we are provided three subsystems. SOAP API with its database, REST API with database, event handler, which is custom developed with all Java version by the customer developers in this, and this component is used to trigger our Java applications to send data to their partner systems. And there are additional database which is storing data required for the event handler. Behind those APIs and databases, there are more than 10 business applications like CRM, accounting system, and other required to drive business. Those systems are not presented here because it was not involved in our project scope, but all changes could affect the systems. Some scripts and custom services are copying data to those databases for API endpoints, but as you probably realize, over the years, a business needs was changing. A lot of API endpoints have accumulated and data has begun to duplicate in different databases. So we had some kind of a data mess. Customer also has Active Directory and hardware firewall devices. So Active Directory is being used for authentication inside the company network. And for data exchange with partners, our customer, we are offering to ensure VPN connections for every partner data center. Custom Java application was made to push data depending on the partner needs and partner IT capacities and capabilities, of course. So for some partners, XML files were saved in their partner FTP server. For our partners, post methods was executed to push data into the partner APIs. So different partner with different capabilities and needs, different implementation was made at that time. And as a result, the APIs were expanding and changing as soon as new partner wanted to receive information in different format or by using different protocol. So let's talk a little bit about the requirements for the new solution. When we have started the project, we have asked our customer to document the requirements, and our customer documents like this. We need to prepare the technology architecture that will be possible to work in the internal network because on-premises APIs are not accessible from the internet. Uh, Customers partners want some data transformation, so customer ask us to find a solution how to merge few on-premises API requests and responses into one request and response with minimal changes on premises. And this requirement appears to be one of the more complex. The main thing is that some data are in the SOAP API, another part of data in the REST APIs, and somehow we need to merge 3 or 5 API endpoints, requests and responses in the different formats. And all the REST SOAP API endpoints have to be transformed into the REST API formats. This also was one of the requirements from the customer. Another requirement was to publish new API to the customers over the internet and, of course, secure it. Also, API documentation has to be prepared because currently it is not existing. For the customer which cannot query API, we need to push data into their FTPs or REST APIs. So we need to find a solution how to push delta data, which means that only changed data has to be pushed to the client systems. And of course, all cloud solutions should be secure, and we have monitoring and maintenance tools because currently monitoring is not existing. Also, one of the requirements from the business was that if new partner appears, it should be easy to configure the access for this partner. And it is desirable that it does not require development from our side. And one thing to mention about this architecture, it is MVP scope, and the disaster recovery or scalability was not a requirement at this stage, but customer is willing to implement it in the future. So we need to deliver a fast new product and new interfaces for their partners that we could try and decide if it's what we wanted from our customer. So let's talk about architecture which fulfilled customer requirements, and it's seen in the screen. First of all, we have prepared Azure tenant for the customer, and in one of the subscription deployed site-to-site VPN with customer on-premises network. So all internal data can be securely accessed from the Azure subscription. To fulfill the requirement where on-premises SOAP and REST API endpoints has to be merged, we have decided to offer Azure function with .NET Core code. This function is merging few endpoints into one and transforming client requests and responses into required data models. So in this solution, Azure function is like separate API deployed in the Azure, but its main responsibility is to merge and transform data. To manage this Azure function, service-based API, and our on-premises APIs, we have chosen to use API management service. This service was just perfect match for the customer requirements because it has developer portal, which can be used for API documentation storing. Also, portal has access managing feature, and API management service has internal policies which can be configured to transform existing SOAP APIs to a REST format. So it means that for the transformation, we don't need coding. One of the bonuses of this service is that it can be branded depending on the customer brand book. So customer, yes, was very happy because developer portal interface was prepared by using their logos, headers, and colors, and all partners feels like we are using the new product of our customer. To secure public API, we have configured API Manager portal access. So every partner has its own account. And also we have configured security policies which allows us to manage inbound and outbound traffic, ensure rate limiting features and secure endpoints. Another requirement to push data to the customers who has no possibility to query APIs, we have offered to use Azure Service Bus with 2 message queues and 2 Azure functions. One message queue stores messages for FTP clients, another queue for system with REST APIs. The data in the message queue are inserted by the customer on-premises event handler, which he has configured to put required delta changes into the queues. To calculate delta changes required some changes on premises, of course. FTP clients required to store data in the XML file format, and REST API endpoints receiving JSON data. Azure Service Bus was configured that every new message in the queue triggered required Azure function and new messages are delivered to the partner systems. So for the partners credentials managing, we have decided to use Azure Key Vault, which is the best choice when you need to secure credentials or connection strings. And in this case, partner you have different systems with different protocols. So we have decided to create one connection string per partner, and Azure functions are just using those connection strings. This feature is very nice because when new partner appears, our customer just can go to the Azure Key Vault, create a new connection string, and Azure functions automatically use all connection strings stored in the Key Vault. So it means there are no any coding in the background. For the solution monitoring, we have offered Azure monitoring tool with metrics configuration and dashboards. And by using these native tools, customers can see all of the requests and responses, understanding what if everything works fine. So when the MVP product was delivered and deployed, we have prepared architecture vision for the next steps. And in the future, our customers are willing to expand its business and have much more partners and present new interfaces for their clients, which means that much higher system load is planned and we need to think about high availability. So what we are offering to create secondary site for high availability and disaster recovery. And while Azure Key Vault and Azure Service Bus cannot be accessed from different regions, standby or active secondary site can be used in this case. And all resources in the sites are also configured to be high available. Functions will be auto-scaled depending on the usage by using application plan. And traffic manager here would be used to manage requests to the Azure API Manager portal or service bus when more than one region will be configured. And additionally, our customer would like to have tablet and mobile applications, for which would use the same API endpoints. So all the data changes would be pushed by using Azure Notification Hub to the mobile application. So native push notification features could be used here. In this architecture, partners and clients would use the same infrastructure components, but with different interfaces. So while there are no non-functional requirements from our customer for their future development, it is just a vision, one of the possible implementation. And when the requirements will be documented, this vision will be reviewed, aligned to the best practices of well architecture framework, of course. So technologies which we are used to extend our customer on-premises infrastructure to the cloud. API Manager to manage and secure existing APIs, convert SOAP to REST APIs, and publish APIs for customer and store, of course, open API documentation. Service bus was used to manage data which has to be pushed to the partner systems. Key Vault stores partner system credentials and connection strings, which was used by Azure Functions. Azure Functions was used to merge requests and responses for the APIs, also push data to the partner subsystems. And site-to-site VPN was deployed to extend customer on-premises data center to the Azure cloud. And for the future development, we see that Azure Notification Hub could help to push data to the mobile applications, and Traffic Manager service would be used to ensure request management when application become high available per different regions. So what benefits customer got with hybrid cloud and this project? First of all, flexible and modern architecture was prepared. It requires minimal changes on premises. Cloud native services fulfill some of the business requirements by default. And current architecture is ready for the next project steps where tablet and mobile applications are planning to be developed. Another thing is fast implementation. Of course, It is one of the key business benefits because customer wanted to go to the market as soon as possible, and hybrid cloud allows us to do it. Customer on-premises system was extended to the Azure cloud, so now customer can use hybrid cloud benefits, and all existing components can be easy configured to be high available. Cloud native services helped us to improve security by using API manager and network appliances, and also maintenance and monitoring tools was configured for the all solution support and maintenance. And overall solution responds to the business requirements and needs. So I would like to summarize and remind you about what to keep in mind when developing on-premises and cloud systems. First of all, try to use best practices. Don't forget to check well architecture framework documentation and our best practices before making major decisions. And document your solution from the beginning of a project. Usually life happens, people are changing, any new IT persons in your team or contractual will read the documentation, check the UML diagrams and understand how systems are built. Keep it simple. If you're designing any process or model, first of all, check if any library, open source software, or cloud native service already existing and use it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. And of course, plan. Prepare architecture vision depending on the long-term business requirements and strategy. Plan data center resources, increasing number of customers, and how solution will be maintained and supported. Don't forget about cloud benefits, which could be used in your project. And next, I give the floor to my colleague, Robertus.
All right, thank you, Nereus. I loved your story and your insights. We will continue with Q&A soon, but before that, I would like to elaborate on the offer that I promised you at the beginning. So we have a service called Application Modernization Assessment. You can find it actually in the Azure Marketplace, and it is accessible to everyone who wants to get a professional support helping and help transforming your IT applications to operate in Azure cloud. During the service delivery, we work on analyzing your current situation and providing recommendations for possible modernization scenarios. For example, if it is better to start from lift and shift migration, where you can just basically move from on premise to the cloud without changing anything in the code. Or is it better to modify application to better support the cloud environment, which would be called refactor or a platform in this case? Or maybe it would be much more easier to retire existing one and replace it with a new cloud native application. The service delivery takes approximately 4 weeks and it costs €3,000. So if you are interested in it and want to learn more, please click the link we share and then press contact me. Also, you can reach out to me via email directly. So this is a great opportunity to get a professional support now. And now then we are starting our questioning part. So let me check for 1 second. Do we have anything from the audience? So here's the first one. So Nereus, I think this is a question for you. How long did it take to implement the project?
Thanks. Good question. Yes, so we spent about 3 weeks for analysis and about 4 weeks for the Azure subscription configuration, development, and testing. So basically, this project took about 2 months.
Okay, good. And now I'm just checking the second one. Have you used Azure B2B or B2C Active Directory for partners and clients management?
Currently, no. Uh, we have offered to use it, but currently our customer has no premium plan for their Azure Active Directory service. So, but in the future, we are thinking about to use it. But currently, their clients' accounts are saved in one of their database, and partners have only Azure developer portal account, and also GVT tokens are being used to system authentication. So, but B2B and B2C Active Directory is not used in this project.
Okay. The third one, which I see right now. So, can you elaborate if any changes were needed to be done in the on-premise infrastructure?
Yes, like I mentioned in my presentation, the main work on premises were related with updated data transfer. So our customer wanted to push only data changes. So to get data changes, you need to know what data fields was changed from the last API call. So since we had decided that Azure will store the minimum amount of data, so those, I can say, delta data calculations had to be made on premises where all original data are being stored. So our customers, developers needed to prepare delta data on premises and transfer it to our Azure service bus. And it was the main system change on premises, I guess.
Okay, great. Yes, so at the moment, I see that's it. I don't see any other questions. Don't worry. If you have something, you will get our contact so you can ask us directly as well. Yeah, so if no, then I think we reached the end of this event. So thank you for your time and the participation. I hope it was interesting and you have learned new things. If you need more help or support, feel free to contact us. To all participants, we will send a follow-up email so you will have our recording and also direct contacts, as I mentioned already. On behalf of our team, I wish you good luck. We are looking forward to seeing you next time. So bye bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a nice day.